Recently, we visited one of the most important places in ancient Israel, its first capital, Shilo. There we found archaeologists along with dozens of volunteers digging back into its history this summer. And here's my interview with lead archaeologist Scott Stripling. Well, Scott, it's a real blessing to be here in Shilo, or some people call it Shiloh.
Right.
Can you describe what's going on here right now?
Well, first of all, welcome to ancient Shilo. This is the first capital of ancient Israel. Joshua was from the tribe of Ephraim, and we're in the center of Ephraimic territory right here. And it's a sacred spot because the Mishkan was here, the tabernacle where people came to connect with God.
Can you describe the site at all? You have students here, you have professors, you have a lot of activity going on. What's happening?
What we're doing is exposing this massive fortification wall to my right and your left, which encircles the entire site. It was built in the Canaanite period, but it was taken over by the Israelites and served as a boundary for the sacred precinct. We have students from 11 different universities participating in our consortium, which is called the Associates for Biblical Research. So under that umbrella, regular volunteers from wherever and students from universities, some of them getting college credit for doing this, can come and actually dig the Bible and reveal these things that have not been seen in thousands of years.
What is digging the Bible, and why is it even so special to you?
Well, you know, you can read the Bible, you can walk the Bible, but the ultimate is to dig the Bible. You know, when we actually get into the soil, like these students from Lee University, they're literally, it's under their fingernails and in their nose and their mouth and their ears, and they're exposing this ancient culture. It becomes one with you. And sort of like we came out of the soil, and as we dig into this soil, we connect with God and with each other, I think, in a very important way.
And what scriptures mean a lot to you when you think about digging?
Well, Psalm 102:14 is one of my favorite verses. It says, "O Zion, blessed are those who love your dust and cherish your stones."
And do you see what's happened archaeologically? Is it verifying the biblical record?
Oh, absolutely. We can see a clear transition, Chris, from when we go from the Amorites who first built the site into the Israelite period. For example, the bones change from 4% pig bone to 1% pig bone once we go into the Israelite period. The pottery changes, and we get the classic, what we call collared rim pottery. And so all these classic indicators that there's been an ethnic change that has taken place.
What can archaeology tell the skeptics that may question the Bible?
Archaeology doesn't set out to prove or disprove the Bible. What we want to do is to illuminate the biblical text, the background of the text. So to set it in a real world culture, to what we call verisimilitude. So we get an ancient literary description. Now we have a material culture that matches that. Chris, you're sitting where Samuel and Eli and Hannah and these people that we have read about, they came just like us, needing answers, needing to connect with God, needing forgiveness.
What are the lessons that you would like to get people to understand that really can't come here personally, but what are the lessons that people in the world need to know?
Well, I think the biggest lesson is that we're dealing with real people, real places, real events. This is not mythology. The coins that we excavated today, we're talking about coins of Herod the Great, Pontius Pilate, Festus, Felix, Agrippa the First, Agrippa the Second. The Bible talks about these people. We've got the image right there. And ultimately, Chris, if the Bible is true, then the God of the Bible has a moral claim on our lives. And as we establish the veracity of the biblical text, I hope that everyone watching will just think about that God loves us and He has a moral claim on our lives.
What have you discovered archaeologically?
Well, right out of the ground, we just have a piece of what we call a measuring cup. It's a stone vessel, a chalk vessel from the 1st century. About 100 BC, there was a wave of ritual purity that swept through late Second Temple period Judaism, where they began to have daily immersion in the mikveh, ossuary burial, and using stone vessels. Now this one was from yesterday, it's been washed already, so you see the same form right out of the ground and yesterday, and these are those handles from the stone vessels. Remember Jesus' first miracle at Cana, they were stone jars full of water. That's that ritual purity culture of the 1st century. Here's the bone bag from this particular locus. So each one of these bones will be analyzed by our zooarchaeologist. The anthropologist does our human bones, the zooarchaeologist the animal bones. So we know each single bone, the animal that it came from, so we understand their diet. We do flotation, so we get seeds, and so we know what they were eating, what their daily life was like. And of course, a big part of what we do is pottery. So we can see this is just from one locus here this morning, a tremendous amount of pottery. And we date it using these diagnostic pieces. So this is from the Roman period, New Testament period. As they're going down, they're going to get all the way through the Iron Age, the period of the Tabernacle, and then all the way down into the Amorite period, which preceded it. So we want to see that transition between those periods with clear stratigraphy.
So by the pottery, you can see exactly, you can find the particular age it was.
That's right. The rims evert or they invert. The inclusions, like turn that one over, you can see the size of the grit in here. That's indicative of a certain time period as well. The type of wear, the wheel markings are a little bit different. Just like your great-grandmother's pottery is different from your pottery that you're using today. And once we learn the pottery, then we can use it as our primary means of dating. And for me, that's good stuff. And I think your viewers will think it is too.
Up next, one farmer revives Israel's ancient plant, the balm of Gilead, when we come back.